Hey everyone, welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. My name is Hunter. On this Friday, December 27, 2024. We got some significant news to talk about today. We have a tornado outbreak that is likely to unfold this weekend. We're going to break down all the details, including what the storms could bring to the table, the track of the storms, and how much precipitation the storms will produce as we go into the weekend as well, and a pattern change as we go into early January at the end of the video. So make sure to subscribe to the channel if you want the latest weather information 24/7. Check back often for updates. Like the video by giving it a thumbs up down below, especially if you do enjoy it. Also, leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. I definitely appreciate it. Let's get into the nuts and bolts of the forecast here. Weather alerts across the United States. We're hanging on here to dense fog advisories across the upper Midwest down toward the Central Plains. These are likely to expand as we go through tonight here, and let's show you the evidence of that. This afternoon, we have some patchy dense fog, the thickest up here into Minnesota, but still some patchy fog here from Upper Peninsula of Michigan into parts of Wisconsin, the Hawkeye State of Iowa, and the land of Lincoln here in Illinois. And some of that even extending down into northern Missouri this afternoon. Notice the coverage here is going to expand with that dense fog, and it's going to get a lot thicker as we go into this evening here across the upper Midwest, Minnesota, Wisconsin, northeast Iowa, northern Illinois up there toward Highway 20. And then as we go into Saturday morning, that's going to really start to enhance across the plains and then down here near the Gulf Coast as we start to warm up our temperatures. Our dew points are rising. So the closer the temperature or the dew point temperature is to the actual air temperature, that is where that relative humidity goes high, and that's what creates this dense fog out there. So that is something we're keeping an eye on. Let's look at our temperatures here in particular this afternoon. We see the 50-degree line moving further to the north. This is really abnormal for late December. 60s and 70s, not too far down to the south from there. Saturday afternoon, the reason why we're going to see that tornado outbreak is because look at our temperatures down here near the Gulf Coast in the mid-70s Saturday afternoon. Sunday afternoon, we're continuing to see the warmth spread all across the United States here. The freezing line is all the way up to the north towards Canada this whole entire weekend. So let's look at our storm system moving in across the west as we go through today. This is spreading out some rain and snow showers, and then as we go into Saturday, here is our low pressure system in East Texas, and this is really going to be tapping into some warm, moist, and unstable air. So it's going to have a lot to work with as we go later into the day on Saturday, and it's going to deepen as we go into Sunday. So an East Coast severe weather threat is something we'll watch to end the weekend. So let's give you the forecast from the Storm Prediction Center. This is a level 1 out of 5, marginal risk of severe weather for southeastern Mississippi into southwest Alabama and far northwest Florida Panhandle here. This does include a 2% chance of a tornado here. Likely not as intense of a tornado day as yesterday, but definitely seeing some tornado potential around Mobile, Pensacola, maybe as far north and east as Montgomery and Birmingham as we go through today. Looking at this, it's mainly a scattered storm threat. So not everybody is going to see severe weather this afternoon, which is some good news. But if severe weather warnings do go out, and especially if it's a tornado warning, make sure that you heed the warning and take it seriously as we go into the afternoon and evening. And then as we go into early Saturday morning, this is after midnight, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. This is mainly shower and storm activity that is mainly up there toward Virginia, West Virginia, and the Western Carolinas. None of these, though, will be severe because they're going to be on a weakening trend early tomorrow morning. This is the day we're watching for a tornado outbreak to likely unfold across Dixie Alley here. This is Saturday, December 28th. The Storm Prediction Center has a level 3 out of 5 enhanced risk upgrade across portions of Louisiana into Mississippi and western Alabama, the metropolitan hubs of Jackson back here toward Lake Charles. Definitely keeping a very close eye on you folks for severe weather. But even outside of that here, the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Houston, Little Rock, Memphis, Nashville, Huntsville, Birmingham, Montgomery, Atlanta, Mobile, and Tallahassee, New Orleans. All of you folks are still in a threat for severe weather. So a lot of major metropolitan areas in play here. Let's look at what these storms could bring to the table. The damaging wind threat, we could see some 60 to 70 mile per hour winds, especially in this red shaded color. So if you live in Jackson, Back here toward Lake Charles, could be seeing those 60 to 70 mile per hour winds being pretty likely tomorrow. In the yellow especially, we could be seeing the quarter size hail or slightly larger at times. This includes areas like Houston, Shreveport, Lake Charles, Jackson here into western Alabama. And then what I'm very concerned about is the tornado risk tomorrow. They have upped the ante to a 10% hatched risk for tornadoes, which means a strong EF2 variety tornado could be possible in Jackson, Mississippi area tomorrow, back toward Lake Charles here in portions surrounding that. So we're going to be keeping a very close eye on that as we go through the day on Saturday. And by the way, the tornado threat extends up into Little Rock, into the Jonesboro area, into Memphis, Nashville, Knoxville, into Atlanta, Birmingham, Montgomery, Mobile, Tallahassee, New Orleans, Houston. You guys are all in the threat for tornadoes as we go through the day on Saturday. Let's set the stage for you here. Saturday morning, we're going to see quiet weather, maybe some fog down here, and we want that fog and lower cloud cover to stick around as long as possible because that will squelch the atmosphere of energy, which is some good news because the more energy the atmosphere has, the more the potential for severe weather. We're going to have convection, thunderstorm activity back here initiating in central Louisiana. These could become severe hail makers as we initially see them Saturday morning, probably late morning, and then really exploding with thunderstorm activity in two waves. Prefrontal convection thunderstorm activity here in Mississippi, and then actual frontal convection with the cold front back here into Arkansas, into Louisiana and East Texas. Those could be the stronger storms Saturday afternoon that could pose the risk for some tornadoes here. And we got to watch those semi-discrete supercells out ahead of the main line. Those could be the ones that could tap into a lot of that wind shear, a lot of that energy out there, and that could produce some strong tornadoes, the EF2, EF3 variety tornadoes. So something to keep an eye on through Saturday evening. As those storms grow eastward, they're going to become more of a heavy rain threat, a damaging wind and hail threat here, I think, as we go into early Sunday morning. While we can't discount the threat for tornadoes, I think the strong tornado threat, the deeper we go into Saturday evening, into Sunday morning, the better, because the tornado threat will be diminishing. As we go into Sunday, we have a slight risk, level 2 out of 5 here across Virginia, the Carolinas into eastern Georgia. The severe threat could extend all the way up here into places like Pittsburgh, into places like Charleston, West Virginia, Southeast Ohio, something to keep an eye on there on Sunday. Overall, looking at the big picture across the United States here this weekend, today we got some rain showers, non-severe thunderstorms moving up into Des Moines, Chicago, Indianapolis here, Kansas City as well. Here's our energy for Saturday, moving in across the west, bringing very heavy snows to Idaho, into Utah, into northeastern Nevada. That'll continue to bring some snow there on Saturday across the west. There's our severe weather maker. We got the low up there over Lake Superior. Maybe a mix of rain and snow up into northern Wisconsin and the Arrowhead of Minnesota on Saturday. And then here's our mature cyclone over Evansville, Indiana, or Indianapolis on Sunday as a 992 millibar low. Strong cold front here continuing to attached to that low pressure system, could bring us some severe weather. And then again, another big system out west on Sunday. We're going to just continue this fleet of storms across the United States. And this is going to lead to some pretty heavy rain across the east here, across portions of the Ohio Valley, the southeast in general, back there toward East Texas. Could be seeing a couple inches of rainfall. Pretty dry here in the plains, and pretty dry, bone dry in most of the state of Arizona, and then with some heavier precipitation over here in the Pacific Northwest, the West Coast in general, as we go through Monday, a couple inches there as well. As far as snowfall goes, not much to speak of in the central or eastern U.S. outside of that rain-snow mix in northern Wisconsin or the Arrowhead of Minnesota, maybe a little bit in northern lower Michigan as well. That'll pretty much be on grassy surfaces and melt very quickly. Heaviest of the snows, higher elevation, the mountains out west, Cascades, the Sierras, and the Rockies, really going to get crushed with a few inches to really a few feet of snow as we go through the rest of the weekend. And that could cause some travel troubles. We have some major travel troubles out here as we go through the weekend. So if travel takes you out west here, if you're heading home for the holidays, especially for New Year's, make sure that you are traveling with caution across the Pacific Northwest as we go through the weekend. Let's look at the teleconnections. Into early January, we're going to be showing you this here to understand why we're seeing the pattern change that we're seeing. The AO, the Arctic Oscillation here right now is positive. It's going to trend negative, but briefly so, because by the time we get to the middle of January, it's trending neutral to positive again, which means a warming trend is likely to ensue. The NAO, the North Atlantic Oscillation, right now is neutral, trending negative briefly again, just like the AO. and then trending positive by the middle of January, and that means, again, a warming trend. Look at the PNA, the Pacific North American Oscillation. Right now is neutral. Now continue to remain kind of neutral to slightly positive here, and then really get to positive territory by the middle of January, which means the ridge out west is going to start to strengthen by the middle of the month, and this could be a progressive signal here as that ridge tries to build east, at least into the central U.S. by the middle of January. So let's kind of break this down for you next week. Monday, December 30th through Friday, January 3rd, we'll see a trough, a mature trough, try to develop here in the east. We got the blocking up here near Greenland and north of Hudson Bay, and we also have blocking up here in Alaska, allowing for that colder air to sink down to the south. Now, with that said, our snowpack is lacking across the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, the Mid-Atlantic, and really a large chunk of the United States in general. So it's going to take some time. Here's our cold air source. We got some snow on the ground in Western Canada and a lot of it in Alaska, but it's going to take some time to get that cold air southward. So even that first full few days of January, that colder air is really not going to be that cold. It's still going to be, tolerable, 20s, 30s out there, and the active weather will continue across the Pacific Northwest, across the north here, pretty dry across the south and the southeast through that first full week there of January. And then as we go into the second full week of the month here, the 6th through the 10th, that trough in the east really just amplifies even more, strengthens, and we get a big trough, or big ridge rather, out west, and this is a big signal for potentially some colder air out east and warmer air out west here. So you can see that with the greens out east, temperatures 15, 20 degrees below the norm, and this is early January, so this could be some pretty cold air, maybe some Arctic air in the mix as well. And looking out west, we're going to start to melt some of the snow in our cold air source up in Alaska, up into Yukon, British Columbia, into the Northwest Territories, Alberta, Saskatchewan, and then the western U.S., the mountains, starting to melt at least the top layer of some of that snow as well. So that could mean this ridge, if it shifts to the east in the middle of January, could give us some trouble for snow lovers out there, and we'll keep an eye on that. And really the active storm track will remain to the north as we go through the first 10 days of January. So here are the three main operational weather models here. The European model showing the snow track for the first 10 days of the month going across the north, and it's really the areas in the upper Midwest, the Great Lakes, and the Northeast, and really honestly the same areas that have seen it will have a best chance of snow in the first 10 days of the month. Looking at the American GFS model, same picture, maybe a little bit further south with the footprint of the snow track. And again, a lot of, it's not cut and dry, a lot of uncertainty here, and where the exact snow track will be, how much snow will fall is really a big question mark. And even looking at the GEM, which is the Canadian guidance, really showing that across the north. So my confidence is highest with snow potential further to the north, so southern Canada, the far northern tier of the United States. It's lower confidence the further south you go, and it's especially low confidence in how much snow actually occurs in this pattern. We just don't know that answer to that question right now, and we'll keep trying to answer that as we go further into the next week or two, and we'll get the answer on this channel as we do get closer. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel for the latest weather information right at your fingertips 24/7, and check back often for updates. Share this video with friends, family, and on social media. I definitely appreciate it. Like the video, give it a thumbs up. Please stay safe out there, everybody. Heed all severe weather warnings. A tornado outbreak likely tomorrow. Make sure to take all the warnings seriously. Know what to do if the tornado warning is issued. Lowest, most interior room here that you can get if you do not have a basement. Definitely heed those warnings tomorrow. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful rest of your Friday out there.